Okay, 7 o'clock. We are live on the air. Waiting for a couple other people to get on. Now today I have three panelists on the website. I hope everybody is able to see it. If you don't, uh, there is some instruction on my website there to click on play. So just waiting for Ed to get back. He's setting up his computer. Ed, you're still there, right? Uh, okay, it looks like we're having some. Okay, there.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
All right, we are live, dude. Okay, so this is something that I'm trying out new, and it's something that I'm hoping to be able to recommend that people do, and so I'm just going to go ahead and we're waiting for one other person to come online. I'm doing this from my own personal office here, which obviously I haven't decorated at all. And Ed is, I don't know where Ed is.
Yeah, I had to close the blinds. I had to come upstairs because my wife and dogs, it's about to be loud downstairs, so I'm just upstairs and hanging out on the chaise lounge, so to speak.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm hopefully, like I said, we'll get some questions here going on the site, and I'm just going to kind of look at that for a moment. All right. All right, and I'm just gonna talk a little bit about some introductions here. I'll go last. I'm going to talk about myself last. Obviously, my name is Jeff Davis. I'm the owner of Dream Sites. I've been doing websites for 17 plus years, and built 500 plus websites all over the country. I've done some work for the government and different things like that. I'm gonna talk a little bit about my website here in the introduction, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ed. I'll talk a little bit so he can introduce himself. I've known Ed for about 4 years now, and he's helped me on different projects, doing some different things. So, and then we're also going to have a guy named Scott Dennison who calls himself the Marketing Geek, and we're going to have him come in and actually. I do some work for Ed on projects, or I'm sorry, Scott on projects that he needs done. One of the ways that I get business for everybody out there is there is a lot of marketing people that know marketing and know online marketing, but maybe they don't know how to put together a website. So what I do is I actually partner with them, and they send me their back-end stuff, their code, their CSS, their different things like that. But before I go too much into myself here, I'm going to turn it over to Ed, and Ed's going to talk a little bit about his business, different things like that. Go ahead, Ed.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm in Tampa, in case anyone was wondering. And
yeah, sorry, I forgot to say that myself. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. So I've got a new business that is online. Right now I'm having some major malware issues and it's being cleaned up, so I'm not going to give my website out because I don't want people going there because of that, but I'm basically making stamps, so address banking, signature stamps, stuff like that, selling them online, and a lot, it's a very old technology, but I'm using new technology to build the business around, and I've got a unique little niche within that. So that's what I'm currently doing. But over the last 3 or 4 years, I've learned a lot about internet marketing and all that kind of stuff. Never to put myself out there as a consultant and be hired to do that for anyone. I've always done my own things, but along the way, I've learned a lot. And I've helped a lot of other people with theirs, and never for a fee. Just I'm one of those guys that just likes to help other people. What I am using a lot in my new business, though, is Pinterest, or the plan is to use it a lot. I'm really a big fan of Pinterest. Instagram is another really strong platform. There's a lot. Obviously, Facebook and LinkedIn and all the others.
Okay.
And hang on, let me say that most people think and you made this comment yourself, Jeff. Most
Yeah.
people think that one of these uh, image sites, Pinterest or Instagram, is really good for artsy kind of things and is not really good for anything else. I'm going to give you one example, then I'll turn it over. And last night I was talking to a guy who does stone restoration, so like decorative stone around the house and stuff like that. I mean, before and after pictures, Pinterest is made for that kind of business.
Perfect.
You know, just all kinds of stuff. So think long and hard before you discount either Pinterest or Instagram. You can really make some headways, and Pinterest specifically, that's the one I like the most. But you can do a lot of cool things with that. So that's my soapbox speech.
Okay, well, I haven't used myself. I haven't used Pinterest, or I'm sorry, I haven't used Instagram at all. Just I don't even have an account, so you won't see me on that anything. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and Scott's back on here. He's actually broadcasting from an iPad. He had some computer issues, but so I want to tell people that they actually can do that from their iPad, which I think is pretty neat there. Scott, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself? I know you have, I think, your website. I mean, talk about your website address and give a little bit of background. Before you came in, I was talking about that I do some work that when you have CSS needs and some different things that I do some stuff for you there. So go ahead and shoot.
Well, thanks, Jeff, and it's good to be with you guys. I'm glad to actually be here after having my computer decide that today was the day it was going to insist on going to the shop, and obviously I'm not there yet. So I am logging in through an iPad. My name is Scott Dennison. I am I'm known around the industry as the marketing geek, which is kind of funny because a client gave me that name. I specialize primarily in traffic and conversion and lead generation strategies for small business owners. But it wasn't always that way. A number of years ago, I primarily focused on starting and building technologies and technology companies, and I had started 2 of them back to back. And the first one largely, we raised a ton of money and built a pretty cool piece of technology, and we're in the final round of getting venture capital, and the whole thing collapsed due to a lack of marketing. And I had hired a marketing gal to run the whole that side of the business while I was out traveling the country raising money. And I'm not going to blame it on her because I was the CEO and it was my fault. But at the end of the day, we didn't have enough sales to keep the venture guys interested, and they didn't want to fund it, so the whole thing collapsed on my head. And I learned a very expensive lesson, which was to never outsource the marketing again. So it is a little ironic that that my clients outsourced their marketing to me.
Can I put 2 cents in on that? Would you mind, Scott?
No, go ahead, Ed.
My niche, that the group of people that I specialize with my new business in, is real estate people. And I talk to realtors all the time. And I talk to real estate folks that sell 4 houses a year. And I talk to real estate people that sell 4 houses a month. What's the difference? It's all marketing. That's the
absolutely
only difference.
Marketing.
Yeah. So it's what you're saying is 100%. I agree 100%.
Well, I think it's effort too. I mean, obviously you can't. Well, I guess marketing and effort are kind of going hand in hand.
One goes with the other. Absolutely.
Right. So. Okay. So, Scott, tell me. You talked a little bit about some projects, but maybe give an idea of how long you've been doing some marketing for different people here, as far as like websites. I know you're based. One thing that we didn't talk about is that you're based over there in Treasure Island, Florida, and obviously I'm here in Tampa, and Ed's in Tampa as well. and at some point I'm going to get some other people from my old hometown of Detroit there on here. I'd love to have that, but anyway, if you want to maybe talk a little bit about a couple little projects or something, that would be great. Just some recent stuff that I know that some of it I worked on.
Yeah, I'm not going to disclose the names of the clients or show their
Okay.
websites, but I will say that I have definitely the client work that I do is focused within a few niches.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with some people in the roofing industry. I just attracted a new client this week that is an attorney. We'll be starting his project any day. I do a lot of work in the travel and tourism industry, and have a pretty interesting project that should pop within the day. In fact, they're meeting right now to give me approval for a massive tourism blog that'll be a big content and lead generation model. Other than that, I know one of the projects you and I worked on was a financial guy, and we fixed a big problem he was having. He wanted to do content marketing, but his site was just wholly unprepared to do it. And he was working with one of these really huge web development firms that was just so inflexible they wouldn't really allow him to do what he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't asking for anything non-standard. He was doing, totally down the line, almost vanilla type stuff. But they didn't want anybody. They didn't want him being able to publish content on their servers, and it's kind of silly. So that was the first one I think you helped me on.
Okay.
You definitely helped me on one of those travel sites that was kind of a mess, and we fixed. And but so I like certain niches. There's the old expression is there's riches in niches. And
right.
When you become known and you specialize in something, then it's easier to market. It's easier to get known, to get your message out. So.
Right. Not only that, it's really difficult to be everything to everyone. I mean, you just run around like a chicken with his head cut off usually if you try to do that. So not only is the riches in the niches, it just makes more sense from a business point.
Well, certainly from a marketing perspective, when you're trying to create marketing, I actually come from more of a classic direct response background than internet. Even though I've been using the internet since '99, I was trained in classic direct response and copywriting and all that kind of stuff. And one of those things that you just learn early in that process is that you want to enter the conversation that's going on in the prospect's mind. Right. You don't want to go in and change the conversation, get them thinking about something else. You want to know enough about them that you can jump right into the conversation they're already having with themselves.
Okay.
So you would do that through questions and taking notes and that kind of stuff, I would assume, right? Is that
well, no. In my niches, Ed, what I do is I have developed a pretty detailed customer profile and avatar, and so I already have done the homework. I pretty much know what their issues are, and I keep my conversation fairly narrow. I talk about the things that I know they're uptight about. And
if you know the pain ahead of time, boy, you got it about licked by then, right?
Oh yeah, it definitely helps to know versus just kind of whacking around and trying to get somebody to pay attention. On my blog a while back, I trashed the idea of the old ad model of AIDA. And if you guys are familiar with the old advertising model of AIDA, the attention, interest, decision, and action, that's been around forever. And I think John Caples was talking about that in the 1920s.
Okay. Well, hey, I didn't get your, I don't think you said any about your website. What's your website address there, Scott?
ScottADennison.com.
Okay. All right. And they can get you on Facebook and all that. And and Ed, you're not talking about your
No,
website because of your.
I don't want to send people there and risk them getting
No,
some
well,
malware
Google's
too.
going
The
to
witness protection program of Hangout.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into WordPress stuff, I want to focus out that, Ed, your site is a WordPress site,
Absolutely.
okay, that's had some kind of injection. There was an article today on, I think, Engadget about injections, SQL injection. And so Ed's site is kind of messed up right now. And one of the things, that I said is that if your site gets in let's say injected or has issues with Google, a lot of times what's happened is there's usually a hole in the software or in the plugin that you're using.
Yeah.
I had some problems with an OS Commerce site. I mean, it can even folder permissions where some program is able to write to a folder, and now that creates real problems for you. So
you want me to tell what my biggest lesson learned in the last 2 weeks is?
Sure. Why don't we just pause about that? Let's try to. I want to try to keep this whole thing to about an hour. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure people get some benefits. So go ahead and talk about that, though.
Yeah, it only takes a second. What I've told people for a long time, it's one thing to have a website, it's a whole other thing to get people to your website. And now I've expanded that, and now I say, and it's a whole other thing to provide people a safe visit to your website. Okay, so my takeaway from the last 2 weeks is if you are building a website that is going to be your baby, your big deal, you don't want to have that website on a shared hosting account. Or if you do have it on a shared hosting account, you want that to be the only website on that account. I mean, they're cheap,
Right.
$80 a year for a Bluehost account, for example, for just the basic one. But once someone infects one of the other accounts on that shared hosting account, they have multiple backdoors into every other website on that same hosting account. So that would be my number one recommendation. If you're building a website that you're planning to have as the base of your entire business, have it all by itself on a hosting account with no other websites.
And of course, I'm going to say you need to have somebody that knows what they're doing
Absolutely.
to manage your site. If you're making a living, if you want to make a living off your site, and now Scott may disagree with me, but I think that you really got to have some support there with some people that know. Now, that's one of the reasons why I'm actually starting this new website. Sure, I can do full websites, and I get, I have people like Scott that send me work. I'm going to get to some questions here. It looks like I have some of my friends from Revise on here, but that I'm going to talk about here in a moment. But is that people don't need an entire website anymore. People, there's so much WordPress, so much other programs out there that build websites. And now, what I think people need, and you guys can maybe comment on this, is they just need help in actually finishing the website. So maybe they need to know how to hook up all their social media to it. Maybe they need to be able to manage somebody to manage that. Maybe they need to understand why they're not getting traffic to their site or where they're at. I mean, every other week Google is changing things around, it seems like, and you really have to pay attention to so many things now. Or you could go from making $100,000 a year on your site to nothing.
Just within the last week, they just did a new update, and they're Google is who they is, and they're optimizing now much more than they ever have for long tail keywords. That's their baby, and that's just happened this week.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the website here.
As the hummingbird flies into our life.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, what they really want at the end of the day is what Facebook wants. They don't want people to leave their site to go somewhere. So to the degree that they can keep you on the site by answering the search questions the search queries that you have, even if they tap into your information to answer the question and present that answer on screen without them clicking over to your site to get the answer, they'll do it. It ain't what it used to be. Let's put it that way.
And maybe we have some listeners out there that don't really know. So let me explain just real quickly long-tail keywords. So a keyword is brick lane. That could be a keyword. Or muscle cars, or healthy shakes, or whatever. A long-tail keyword could be brick masonry in Tampa, Florida. So it's got 5 or 6 words, and that's called a long tail keyword. So just so everyone's on the same page there.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to use the example all the time, Ed, of tires. And somebody goes on and they're searching for tires. Well, they're generally looking for information. Mm-hmm. But if they search Michelin tires, St. Petersburg, Florida, chances are they've figured out which model they want, and now they're looking for a local provider.
And that's opportunity for the local guy, by the way.
Oh yeah. I ask people all the time, if you type in a search term like that, are you being found? Are you in the top 3 sites that Google's putting up?
And that's the key.
Okay, so what I want to do is, I think we've kind of done some introductions here. I want to talk a little bit about, Ed, you talked at the beginning about Pinterest and Instagram. And the other day, Scott and I were having this conversation about LinkedIn and doing LinkedIn. Now, me personally, I'm going to just focus on LinkedIn here for a moment. Now, a lot of people out there might be using LinkedIn to market their website. Maybe I'm going to come back. I'll come back to the questions toward the end here that I found on the chat. I am chatting when you guys are talking there, but I'm going to just focus on LinkedIn, our LinkedIn conversation the other day. Now, when I was trying to promote this event that I was having, now I have 1,700 different people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn, and then I'm a part of groups and everything. But when I went to post some of these things on the groups, which I don't post that much. It's not like I'm spamming them all the time. Some of the stuff just didn't come up. You got to wait for approvals and everything else. So, Scott, we were talking about this the other day. Now, personally, I think that LinkedIn has become very spammy. It used to be the testimonials and everything, to me, seemed like they were very legit and everything, and now it's like everybody's endorsing everybody for every little thing, and you don't even know these people. So to me, I think it's just become really spammy. Now, Scott, if you talk a little bit about whether that LinkedIn specifically is working for you. It's a good business-to-business market if that's your market. But let's just talk a couple minutes here, maybe on LinkedIn, and tell me what your experiences are.
Well, I've become a big fan of LinkedIn. I got involved in a training a while back called Linked University, and it's phenomenal training for how to use it properly. And essentially, you want to build a targeted following, people that are in your ideal client base, and then the kinds of people you want to serve. So if they meet the profile of who it is you're trying to reach, you can actually access them through LinkedIn really better than any other site that I know of. If you're trying to reach C-level executives, you can. Now, if you're trying to reach Susie Homemaker, because you got a B2C type business, a business-to-consumer type business, you probably won't find them as well on LinkedIn. But if you're trying to reach business people, there's really no better place to do it. But you've got to build relationships, because the one thing that LinkedIn proves is that business hasn't really changed much over the years. People still do business with other people that they know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. So at least in the LinkedIn environment, it's flat enough that I can attract people to me usually through my content marketing. I share a lot of content there. I have a daily drip of stories and posts of things that are industry related, and then I share my actual articles from my blog
Okay.
2 or sometimes 3 times a week. And I attract people to me. I pull them into a conversion model where they're able to opt in, receive one of my free offers, and then they get nurturing follow-up emails and all of that. So it starts with LinkedIn.
Okay. Now, do you have any issues posting? Do you have your own group that you're posting in, or do you have are you part of other groups that allow that type of thing, and that's working?
Yeah, I'm in about 30 different groups. In the 3 or 4 years I've been doing it, I've only once had a group administrator tell me that he thought that I was giving out my blog address a little too much by posting twice a week or 3 times a week of one of the posts from my blog.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
hundreds and hundreds of posts to lots of groups all over, and it's never happened except for that one guy. So.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, let's now, Ed. Do you have anything else before we move on, maybe to something else here?
Yeah. Well, I've got
something
I always have 2 cents. You know that.
about the LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, but what I want to say applies to everything, and that's this.
Okay.
I think it's important for us, the 3 of us that are here, kind of functioning as a panel, to put something like this out, and that is that there might be people on here listening that are here to learn and may not know everything that they want to know with all these social media things. Here's my belief on social media. There is very powerful, very great, a very good way of doing business, and if you're not on it, you're missing the boat. But with that said, there's not enough hours in the day to be good at all the different social media platforms. So you need to pick 1 or 2, ideally 2, in my opinion, 2, one of those being either Pinterest or Instagram, and get really good at those 2. Get really good at those 2. And if you have time, then maybe pick up a 3rd one. You don't need to be, unlike what Pat Flynn says, be everywhere. He has assistants that help him do that. Until you get to that point, pick 1 or 2 and just get really good at them.
Okay. All right. Well, I agree with you, but I also believe that you want to try to be everywhere a little bit, if possible. Now, my big thing now is, Twitter is great for content. In my mind, it seems to be really great for getting content and getting ideas for content, things to write, other than obviously doing a keyword search and looking up for what people are most interested in. But anyway, Twitter to me, I mean, I did have someone that I ended up buying some services from. I guess so. I guess it maybe does work. But I don't really feel like Twitter is really a marketing arm. Maybe if you have lots of followers and you put something out, and maybe they'll find it. I mean, that's just my opinion, especially over the last month, which I've definitely tried to get more followers, more people, and I'm not using some software and all that. I'm doing it very pick and choose who I'm connecting to and everything like that. Now, I know Ed's pretty much opinion on the whole Twitter thing, and so I guess, Scott, if you want to maybe, do you have an opinion on, has Twitter worked at all for you, other than, maybe, posting some stories or something like that, or getting stories?
Well, over a period of the years, I was one of the first people to have a Twitter account. I don't really know why, but I was attracted to it early. And I have about 5,000 followers, and I get a steady amount of retweets of the stuff I put out. But the real magic of Twitter, Jeff, is to listen, is to know your keywords. So it kind of comes back to the long tail keywords that Ed was talking about. And to type those into the search tool and narrow down what you're paying attention to. Something like Hootsuite makes Twitter manageable. Trying to run Twitter from the Twitter interface is next to impossible. But if you use something like Hootsuite for $10 a month, you can filter by keyword all the people that are having discussions about something that's relevant to you. And then you can jump into conversations. It's like a gigantic cocktail party. And as you're wandering around the room, you hear a conversation that's interesting to you, you get involved. If you walk over and there's a group of women talking about shoes, I'm going to keep going. But if they're over there talking about why the Rays can't hit, I'm probably going to get in with my 2 cents and say, it's probably a crappy coach.
Well, they lost. I'm missing. I'm gonna, Tigers are on. Go Tigers.
Yeah, I would have liked to have had a chance to smack the Tigers around.
Oh, get out of here. Okay, we're not going to go there.
Listen, I agree with what Scott said, but I'll go back to what I just said, and that is the people that are really knocking it out of the ballpark with Twitter are the people that are focusing on Twitter, and they're really good at Twitter. The people that are killing it with Facebook are focusing on Facebook, and they're really good at Facebook. You just don't have enough time to be good at all of them.
That's true. You're exactly right.
Okay. What I want to do before we go into a little bit more about social media is I want to. I have some people I know obviously on the chat, and I want to talk to them. And one of the things that says why pay for social media, or maybe people aren't thinking that you can really make some money with this. And
read the question word for word, please.
Well, I mean, we have some people. Well, let's see, Barb, and I know Barb, she talks about why pay for social media. I think she's referring to Scott in the Hootsuite thing. I mean, why pay for the tool? I mean, what does that tool do for you that you can't do with just regular, regular Twitter?
If you're trying to work the Twitter channel, it allows you to be organized, to see only what matters to you and filter out all the stuff that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You can break it down by lists. You can have certain kinds of people that you're following based on niches. You can actually have all of your social media accounts, including LinkedIn and Facebook, open in the same Hootsuite account at the same time.
Right.
And for $10 a month, to me,
you've got to look at that $10 a month as a tool. If that $10 a month brings value and saves you time and allows you to not pull your hair out as much, it's money well spent. If you're not going to really utilize the tool, then absolutely just get a free one. Just use the Twitter interface to tweet your 2 tweets a month. You don't need anything else.
Right.
That's fine.
Let me back up for a second, Jeff. Let me give you guys an overarching principle I have for all of these technologies. And I've created some firestorms when I go online with this, and I just simply say that traffic is traffic is traffic. It doesn't really matter where you get traffic from. It only matters that the traffic is relevant to what you do, and so that you have some chance of converting it into prospects and then warm them until they become leads. But that every form of traffic has a cost. For years, I mean, I've been around the SEO world, and people to this day will tell you that the reason they want to do SEO is because the traffic is free. But nothing can be further from the truth. If somebody pays me $5,000 a month to optimize their SEO, is it free, the traffic that they get? No, of course not. They're paying a fair price, but they're getting more than they paid, so it's an investment.
That's the metric, right?
Okay, so let me go ahead. Sorry.
So what you're looking for with any form of traffic is a return on the investment that you're making that's greater than what you're spending.
Really,
Otherwise, then it's a loser.
And there's two forms of payment that I preach this day in and day out to people. You're either, if you want a website that's rolling in the money and doing what it's supposed to do, you're going to pay for that one way or another, either through cold hard cash or through time investment.
Exactly.
One of the two. So.
Okay.
But you'd be amazed at how many people don't value their time.
That's right. That's the $10 a month. They don't see the value in Hootsuite because it may not be a value to them. But for someone that sees that, absolutely.
Okay, well, someone else said that, and I really haven't looked into this. I know about it, but I haven't had enough updates. I've been busy. I haven't had enough updates to use any of this software. Okay, I mean, I've been doing websites for people and designs and everything else, so I really haven't had the time to actually utilize some of this stuff myself. But somebody else was talking about TweetDeck. Is that a free program or no?
No.
Okay.
No. TweetDeck is very similar to Hootsuite, but it's limited primarily to Twitter.
Yeah, and they're owned by Twitter, by the way, now.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Which doesn't mean anything. I'm just.
All right. Now, I'll talk a little. Okay, so before I get too much further, since we're talking about having all of these pages and all these things on here, I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the content I'm going to be posting on my website here, and I should have it up either probably by morning. I got everything kind of rolling here. Yeah, Ed, don't make people too dizzy here because people are watching.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Anyway, but what I wanted to do is talk about this thing I call the 21st Century Business Card, and that is about 4 years ago when I came to Tampa. I was doing a lot of networking events, like going around to different lunch events, nighttime events, different things, just to kind of get to know some people, including Ed. And they give me their business card. I'm going to go ahead and hold one up here. They give me the business card, your standard business card. I'm just going to hold up a couple of these. Okay. A couple of these I have. Our buddy Malucci here. This is a customer of mine actually. But notice these are pretty plain Jane. Do they say? I mean, this has got a phone number on it. But does this say anything? Like where? Like as far as social media, hopefully my computer can get that.
You're a little too close.
Okay, well, sorry. My point is that when I went to these things, I get all these business cards, all right? And, I only met these people one time, so I didn't really know, like, where can I connect with them? Like, okay, I'm not going to call them, probably their phone number. I mean, maybe their email address is on there. So I came up with this business card of my own. I don't know, maybe you guys have seen this. Ed, you've seen this?
Yeah.
Okay, and at the bottom here, I have my Twitter, my LinkedIn, and my profile. And so that way, when I'm at the table, and I'm passing it out, they can go. They don't have to call me up or whatever. They can connect with me immediately. And my picture's on here. I like my picture being here because then they know who they met. So I call this kind of the 21st century business card because it's almost like a sales card. I think that people should definitely be using, putting their Facebook and their all of their connections, or their major ones. Maybe you're going to be like Ed and only have 2, but the ones that you're most updating on, you should have on your business card. That way, people can connect. Because the more people you're connected with to the online, the more the better you're going to be. I mean, it's really about building a list of people that you can send things out to. Maybe not spamming, but just connect with people. I always say it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah. Let me back up a second and clarify. I misspoke. TweetDeck apparently is completely free. I thought that there was a paid version, but I haven't been able to find where there. I think it's completely free. Okay, sorry.
Okay. All right, great. I'm glad you pointed that out, Ed. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Facebook. I know, so we talked about a bunch of stuff. Now, for me, I'm on Facebook the most. I mean, I'm on there all the time, and I don't have a huge amount of friends. I mean, I didn't want that. One thing now, and I know that Scott, you're not that big on Facebook, and yes, getting likes is a pain in the butt. I mean, I have a customer who has probably not on here right now, but he has 3,000 likes on his page, and he's probably paid for a bunch of those, most of those. But when he puts something up for sale, and that's my furniture guy, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up his old site right now because we're getting ready to actually redo a site now. It's going to show. I think it's going to show my website here with the video, and those of you, I'm not watching the video because it would kind of feedback, but I am watching the chat here, so I will come back to that. One thing that, so my friend here at Cedar Stuff, and I'm just going to go to kind of his page here, so you guys can get an idea, is, he posts like a piece of furniture, and he'll actually have this stuff sold, like, right away, just because of the amount of connections that he has on there. It's taken him a long time to get there. He's just selling furniture. He does furniture from his garage. I'm going to have him on a interview because one of the things I'm going to have on my website is an interview, entrepreneur interviews. I have 2 of them. Jason, who I think is on our chat, I did one with him, and he actually sells tropical fish on the internet that he catches out in the ocean down in the Florida Keys. And then another friend of mine named Charlie Winders, but I will come back to that. But anyway, I just want to talk a little bit about my own experience with Facebook, what I was able to do today. Now maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, but I was able to utilize the connections that I have on Facebook here to share this event and to get it out there. And I was easily able to connect with people and ask them to share the event. Now, whether that actually turned into some actual, deals or actual people coming, I think it did. But your guys' experience may be different than mine. Do you want to go ahead and maybe talk a little bit about your own experience with Facebook? To me, Facebook has been the thing that has worked the best, as I get the most connections from it and all that, other than some other kinds of marketing, old school stuff. Scott, do you want to maybe chime in here and say maybe your 2 cents on that?
Yeah, my issue with Facebook is that when they went public, they changed the story, but then they didn't tell people they changed the story.
Okay.
The original story was you shouldn't be doing business on your profile, so go start a business page. And so everybody did.
Mm-hmm.
They set up a Facebook page.
Right.
And you started getting likes. And the reason that Facebook told us all to go hustle to get likes was because when you published content on your timeline, all the people that had liked your page would see it.
Okay.
Then once they went public, little by little, the number of people that see it has dropped, and now it's down to around 4%. But sitting there shining in the corner of every single one of your posts is this invitation for you to boost your post. And boost means to boost their profit margins.
Right.
To boost their revenue and help Facebook report a profit to their investors. I get all that. I've started companies and wanted to raise money and raised a lot of money and did all that, but it's incongruent with the story that they told to get the millions and millions of people that use Facebook to do.
It's not transparent.
No, it's not transparent. If they told you that you're going to work your butt off to get all these likes, but only 4% of them would ever see it unless you threw some money in the hat too, that it comes right back to what I was saying earlier. Traffic is traffic.
Okay.
Why bother with the likes when you can just go ahead and throw $10 or $15 at it and have everybody, including all your friends and all the people that liked your page and all the related sites will see it, and you didn't have to do any of the work.
Right.
So time is money, and so you might as well spend. You're either, like Ed said earlier, you're going to spend your time or you're going to spend your money. I just think that you can get a lot more reach for the money than you can with any amount of time.
Okay. Well, one thing I want to point out to people is that there is a difference. A page and now if you look at my page here, this is my profile page, and then I go to my actual page. I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share here again. Because one thing that I find in dealing with people that are semi-new to this whole thing is they're still building their profile as their page. And the thing is, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk about with the pages, is that you know, you can promote your page, and yes, Scott, you know, it is part of the advertising whole promote and boost and everything. But if you're trying to kind of have I'll give you an example. My friend here, UP Rustics. Now, unfortunately, he hasn't. I did set up a page for him, but he's still on that old school thinking of, you know, because he doesn't know any better, and that's okay for now. Is that, you know, he's kind of running his personal profile as his business, even though he does have a business page. The problem with that is that, number one, you can only have a certain amount of friends on Facebook on your personal profile.
Yeah, you're capped at 5,000.
You're capped at 5,000, and then the other thing is there's no way to actually advertise anything on your profile. You know, I mean, you can. It says promote here, but I don't know. Maybe that you can buy an ad here, but with at least now, I just last week, you know, I did this little ad here for my little guidebook that I had. Let me go back to this page here. But you know, here you can actually promote the page. You can advertise the page, and you have unlimited amount of likes or unlimited amount of connections that you can have on here. You can build tabs and everything else. You can't do that with a personal profile. So again, I want to make sure, and believe it or not, I know you guys know this stuff who are on my, you know, who are on here. But you know, it's definitely, you know, not people. Not everybody knows this stuff.
Hey,
you know,
yeah. Can you put your page back up? Let me just expand on something I said earlier.
Okay,
so
sure.
Put your page that was just there back, if you don't mind for a second.
Sure.
Okay. So what I said earlier is, this is my opinion, and we all have our own opinion. My dog's about to come and attack me. Hi, baby.
Okay.
Anyway, my opinion is you pick one or two and you get really good at them. And here's part of why I say that, because you want to have your business page up on Facebook. I think that's a really strong one of the two. But it's one thing to have your page up. It's another thing to altogether, and I'm talking about your time investment,
right,
to optimize and maximize the use of your page. And what I mean by that is you need to engage with your audience, your customers, your friends, your fans.
Right.
So,
yes.
And you need to, they come and they post questions or they make comments. You need to respond to those. And if you're doing that and on LinkedIn and on Pinterest and on Twitter and all that, there's, like I said, that's just, I don't mean to keep on harping on it, but that is just a good explanation or a good example of why I say pick one or two, get really super good before you move on to 3 and 4.
Right. Now, one thing I want to point out here on going back to this pages thing is there anybody that believes that this actual invite friends actually works? Because I don't think it does. I think it's total you know,
Not really.
waste of time. You
No.
know, this is because you know, how is it that people, you know, don't connect with you? I mean, I have all these friends, and yet I only have. Now I just started the page last week, so it's not that big of a deal to me. But I just think it's funny that they have all these ways that you can invite your existing friends, but I don't think this actually works at all.
Well, it does. It works. They send it. You know, they send the invites out.
Did you get any invites from me on this? On my
I
page?
did.
I think you got it probably from my email that I got.
I think I liked your page early on, but Facebook
Right.
sends them out. I mean, I get them every day, all day long from people.
Okay.
But I don't respond to them
Mm-hmm.
because I don't. You know, I'm being asked to like 1,000 people's pages, and I don't know them, and I don't have any reason to like their page.
Yeah. I had a long conversation with someone about this exact topic, and it's one thing to just click that button and hope that you get likes, but what would be much more effective is if you sent out a message with some sort of an introduction, for example, saying, hey friends, on my Facebook, you know, my Facebook friends, so to speak. I'm just about to launch my new business. This is what it is. Would you consider taking a peek at it? And if you think it brings value, please like my page. That's basically what I did with my gout page, and I got some likes out of it. But the people that actually liked it because they think it's value. What do you care if you have someone that liked your page and they never look at it again?
Exactly.
You know, who cares, right?
Right.
Well, you know, if you're interested in the number of likes and you think there is some
That's a false sense of success.
Exactly. Well, but for a long time we used to think that more likes, it was the perception very similar to a restaurant with cars in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm. Bragging rights.
The food must be okay because all these people are here.
Yeah, no.
Well,
and there's a little bit of validity to that.
And there were gurus that would go around and teach, not Jeff the guru, of course.
Right.
There were other gurus that were teaching this idea that you needed to get a whole bunch of likes, and the easiest way to do it was to go to someplace like Fiverr.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody's not familiar with Fiverr, it's a ecosystem all to itself, fiverr.com.
Right.
And you can go in and you can purchase likes. And for $5, you'll get 1,000 of them. Unfortunately, most of them are in Russia and India and places like that.
Right.
And they're not going to ever pay any attention to your content. They're not going to share it. They're not going to like it. They're not going to do anything to the content itself that will get you more exposure. So you waste $5 and you've got all these people clogging up your page that are never really going to come back again. And then you find out later that the majority of them were bots to begin with.
Right.
There's people that are smart enough to build a robot that can go out and they hack into all these people's Facebook accounts and go around and like all these people for a fee.
And it's one guy that has way too much time on his hands, and he has 500 accounts all on his own.
Oh yeah, there's people like that, and they go like a bunch of pages for $5, and you know, I guess it all depends on the economics where you live. I mean, if you're in India and you make $5 a week, and you can turn that into $5 a day by
$5 a week, man, that's rough.
Well, there are people in parts of the world where that's decent.
That's good money. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Well, hey,
Hey,
I got an idea.
You have some questions?
I got an idea. Let's just agree to let Jeff do our work for us for $5 a week.
I don't.
Sign me up.
You're going to be waiting a long time for that work to get done.
Hey Jeff, you put this out there as a question. You want to answer some questions? I think that might be good.
Okay. Well, there's just a lot of people right now talking about. Let's see. Jason from up north there, he's saying that you need to get the 30 likes on your page that are very important to
That's
unlock
true. No, that's
Facebook's
true. I agree with
analytics. And then let's see. Somebody earlier was talking a little bit about doing pages from scratch versus using WordPress, and I know everybody on here is WordPress is big on WordPress, and I'm not big on WordPress. I just think that because I think that it's becoming so, in my market now. On the chat, we had some people from.
Here's the bottom line on that.
Yeah. Go ahead. In your opinion, go ahead. Right. Sure.
If you're going to put up a website, you need to have a way to make it secure, make it safe for people to browse, and to be able to easily manage. If you have the skill set to do that with HTML and CSS, knock yourself out. Most people don't, so that's where WordPress or Joomla or Revised or any of these other companies come in, because most people don't have the time or the inclination to become a web designer themselves.
Okay, well, and I'll one second there, Scott. I'm definitely going to let you answer there, but I do want to point out is that what probably happened to your site, Ed, is they found a hole in a plugin. I mean, this doesn't happen like every day or something. People don't. I mean, I've been doing sites for all this time, and I think I've had maybe 4 or 5 problems with issues. Most of the time, it's been either
out-of-date plugins or something.
It's been out-of-date software. It's been whole. I've left. Maybe the FTP password wasn't really that tough or whatever. But you want to have something that you can definitely secure. But I think it's a plugin that you had problems with. But Scott, you can go ahead and maybe talk a little bit. I kind of cut you off there with the WordPress something.
No, I'm a fan of WordPress because I go back far enough to building stuff in front page, and it's like Ed said, most people don't have the inclination to be able to manage it. I got involved in a thing that Adobe put out, Catalyst, I think is what they called it.
Right.
That allowed you to build HTML pages in Dreamweaver, but then have a CMS, which was Catalyst, working behind it, a content management system that allowed you to do a blog and stuff like that. But it was horrific software. It was terrible.
Right. Okay.
For all the money that Adobe had. So WordPress is particularly nice because anybody can afford it.
Right.
In fact, there's no cost other than the hosting and the domain itself to have a WordPress site.
Okay. Well, I definitely I'm with you, and I'm gonna someone else here. As long as Dave, my friend Dave Burke, is still on the chat here, something that's gonna be kind of funny is that he used to ask me, why am I using Revise? Now, Revise is before WordPress. Revise is a CMS tool that is actually, not that widely known. It's mostly sold to government agencies through Revise.com. I'll give them a little plug there. I have my own Revise software that I rent out to people that have sites with me. But basically, what I'm talking about is that. Well, now I lost my thought here, but but talking about Revise so much here that I'm not on to point here. But the issue kind of for me with WordPress is that yes, it's free and everything, but it doesn't. It makes we have a lot of sloppy websites out there, and I'm almost like my book almost is going to be like design is dead because everything looks the same now. Everything is, and people can, there's just, they're killing, they're just, I don't know. We were at a networking event. I think Ed might have been with me, and I just feel like, design is just out the window now. But all right, well, let's see.
Well, Jeff, you're making a really interesting point, and it's a good chance to segue between the poor use of a WordPress and good use of a WordPress.
Yeah, let's do that.
So I mean, they're both WordPress.
That's true.
But
That's true.
one is somebody that didn't get some help with it and just slapped it up because, oh, it's free and I think I can figure this out. And someone who uses it as a business tool and makes a considerable amount of money because of it. You know, but it's the same. You know, it's the same thing. They're both WordPress. So what's the difference?
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a little bit about what actually Scott's talking about, and before I do that, now my personal opinion on WordPress right now is there's just so many plugins out there, so many things that people are doing, so much that it's available for it. It's just almost deniable from a small business point to use it. Now, sure, it has all these things, and it has all these plugins, but as Scott and I recently found out, is that if you do not know what you're doing with some of these plugins, you can really screw up your website or have it turn into slow, or as Ed happened to him, now his site is down. But this is an actual real estate site. Scott, would you say that this is a customer of yours, or?
Yeah, this is a client of mine.
Okay, so this is a site that you showed me one time when I had asked you about what you do for real estate. Are you doing any real estate stuff? And what's really cool on this, now I'm going to go ahead and go over to the site, is it has all of this. This is a WordPress website, and it has this plugin that gives you a nice set of MLS. Now, I've done a lot of real estate websites in the past. Now, I don't do a lot of them now, but that's mostly because real estate people in general, they have so many options, and those options are so cheap, it's not even worth talking to people about it. So I do have a couple real estate sites, though, that people have had done by me, but for the most part, everything is people just don't want to spend the money on this anymore. But this is a nice plugin. I mean, all of this plugin stuff, this is all WordPress based, and it all is generated in just a nice website.
Well, that particular plugin, it takes a realtor who understands the business that they're in,
right,
has a lot of potential to make a lot of money, to invest in what my client's investing in. I mean, Ottenheil spends $100 a month for that particular plugin. But if you're selling $300,000 and $400,000 and $500,000 houses,
you just get one sale of it. You paid for 10 years of the plug.
Exactly.
Right.
But there's an awful lot of people in the industry that just simply don't understand that. They approach it very differently. That I'm going to try to get away for spending nothing.
It's like I said earlier.
Right. For
a year, some sells for a month.
Right. Now online on the chat here, Dave did remind me of what I was going to say about Revise and WordPress. Now, what WordPress does for people now is something that I used to say to Dave Burke, which is Revise allows me to do it myself versus asking a programmer. And unfortunately, it's killing programming in a way, unless you're writing plugins, I suppose, or these templates. But so that's I did forget to mention that earlier. But coming back to this site thing, go ahead, Scott.
No.
Or Ed.
Yeah, you can't hate the WordPresses, and you can. There's similar things going on across all industries right now, basically, and that is there's the newer kids on the block that have come out with a bigger and better mousetrap that's putting people out of business, and you can't really hate them for that. That's just how the world is. It's development. But that opens up a whole bunch of other opportunities. I mean, you and I have had this discussion. There's a huge opportunity for people that get good at WordPress to help people that want to have a website. They can kind of do it on their own, but they they can't do it all on their own, so they need a little bit of a helping hand with their WordPress site, for example. There's a huge opportunity out there for that, you know. So most people don't have the time or the inclination to get good at building their WordPress site.
Right. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, one thing that I want to point out now, something that's part of my book here, or my little guide that I have as a download. Now, I ended up taking the opt-in in off my page here right now, but I'll be putting it back up here in the morning or later on after the video here. But is I want to talk. The first thing that I talk about on there is having your site look professional. I mean, so many people, and I'm going to show somebody. I'm going to show a site here in just a moment. Unfortunately, hopefully, I'm not trying to diss them or anything like that. But so many people, just because it's not just him, but so many people just put themselves out there in their business, and they don't have any brand. They don't have any. They go to their site, and it looks like trash. Of course, people are going to assume that they're not that great of a business. I mean, recently I went to this home show, and I went and I saw this really good booth here in Tampa. I don't know if you guys went to it or anybody. Did you go to it, Ed?
No, huh?
Okay. Well, it was a Tampa home show, and I went to this, and I'm going to try to look it up here in a moment. I think it's like Palmscapes, Florida Palmscapes. This is right down the road from us, actually. And I mean, they had a awesome booth, and this is what their website looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you gonna use this? Are you gonna call them? No.
No.
I mean, look. I mean, it freaking .easy. Give me a break. Spend a few dollars, to get your website. Now, I will say that, this all blends in, and maybe they don't know anybody, but they do have a decent photo gallery, on here, which is nice. I mean, they got 60 photos, but they have some nice work in here. But it's just their site does not even look like their business card. It's horrible. Now, the other one that I'm going to show now, I was talking about this nice real estate website. We have someone else around here. This is also a WordPress site. So you got a nice WordPress site that somebody spent some time on, and I know, Scott, that you're adding pages and you're doing some SEO for them.
We're doing mostly lead generation.
Okay, lead generation.
Across
okay.
the bottom, there's a ton of links to landing pages.
Right. Okay. All right.
Those are the heart of the site is those landing pages.
Okay.
So if you go all the way to the bottom where it says the popular waterfront communities.
Right. This is down here at the bottom in the footer.
And then
you're
all those little links go to the neighborhoods around here. And they each have their own map, and it shows you all the houses that are for sale in that neighborhood.
Okay.
And then pictures within the neighborhood. And
now, was there a tool that you were using for this to plug this in, or?
Yeah. This is that same plugin that we made that whole.
Oh, okay. It's part of the real estate plugin. Now, I'd have to go back and look it up to actually tell somebody what it is. But
well, what I see about this particular site is, number one, it's simple in design, and Jeff, you'll probably back me up with this. Mm-hmm. In design, more times than not, less is more in design.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
And so many people just want to have, like I did some business cards recently for 2 clients, 2 in a row, and they want to put their entire brochure on their business card. That's not what it's for. Well, a website is there to convey a message, and it's also potentially there to convert in some form or fashion, and that could be to make a sale, to get someone to click the add to shopping cart and buy, or it could be to sign up for a newsletter or whatever. So that's a critical piece to know what your function of your website is. But this is a simple site, it's easy to navigate, and it's clear on what the next step is that the owner of the website wants you to do.
Right, and that's really my whole premise in working with clients. I mean, even though I build websites for people with help of other people, because I don't have the time to build them all myself. What clients pay me for more than anything else is the strategy and the implementation or the execution. They don't want a website, they want what the website will do for them. And so
Right.
that's what the point of the whole thing.
Okay. No, I definitely agree. Now, what I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to kind of go back to this real quick here, is so I showed that Palmscapes. This is another website that is just, this is another, this is a WordPress website, and literally all it has on it is these. I mean, he's got like no pages on this thing. These aren't even. Are these even links? I don't remember, but again, this is the same software, the same stuff. Although this has some plugins in it, and this is actually another site. Now this has got some kind of weird logo in here. I don't know if that is something he put in there or didn't. He's got this Google thing up here. He's got a few pictures. And where's the properties? Now, if I click here somewhere, search for homes, I get a pop-up. I definitely don't want to do a pop-up for a search. Okay, it's in a light box. I mean, I can't even make this bigger. Mm-hmm. So that's just not good. So I just want to stress, I don't want to really spend time beating up somebody, but spend some time, quit being cheap. I mean, spend some time and some money. I don't care if you don't spend it with me, that's fine, but
well, realize it's an investment. I mean,
exactly.
These are business tools.
Right.
If you need a tool to make money in your business, do you how many plumbers would say, well, I can get that pipe apart with a big enough hammer, when a wrench would do a much better job? I actually was in a discussion on one of my LinkedIn groups the other day where this analogy popped into my head, so I used it, of, if you were, it was somebody that was complaining about people don't want to spend money on marketing. And I said, well, what if you had a picture of a butcher with a knife and he's cutting some meat? Mm-hmm. And I said, he's good with a knife, but would you want to hire him to do your heart surgery?
Right.
And they're both the heart surgeon and the butcher are good with a knife, but the butcher doesn't have the skills to fix your heart. So this is what good marketing is. The kinds of things that Jeff can do save me time, and time is money. That's how I look at it.
What's your suggestion? So someone's starting a new business, or they're, for whatever reason, they have limited budget. So what would be just in general terms, a strategy that you might recommend if someone wants to come online and build their website and all that? So do you have some sort of a suggestion for limited budget people?
I think probably the easiest way to answer that is to say, spend some time on a marketing plan. Mm-hmm. In the plan, know who your customer is.
Thank you. Yeah.
And if you know who your customer is, the next thing you want to do is figure out what's the lifetime value of one of those customers. There are ways of attracting new customers without having a website.
Sure.
Strangely enough. Mm-hmm. There are people that'll tell you if you don't have a website, you don't have a business, but that's not 100% true. I think that you can get people to do business with you with a simple landing page. Mm-hmm. and a series of daily emails, mm-hmm. neither of which really require a website. I mean,
yeah. And I ask that not as a loaded question, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but for people that have a limited amount of money to invest in their business or in their occupation or whatever you want to call it, they probably also have a limited amount of time because they're trying to do so many things. So I'm going right back to my base premise.
Right.
I've really embraced this. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Don't try to be everywhere all the same time until you can handle until you can handle being elsewhere. So pick a couple things that are just like you said. Know who you're going after. Know what their pain points are, and go after them. And go after them from 1 or 2 directions, not 15 directions.
Yeah. Now, one thing I want to point out to Ed, and is that this is another reason why I'm making the site that I have, is that I do want to give people the information to be able to do it themselves. However, when they're ready to actually go to the next level and they actually need some help, then maybe they'll call me, because Ed really, as a web design professional and Scott being a marketing person, I don't think neither of us want people that are just a lot of times starting out. Now, I meet people and I become friends with them, and hey, I want to help them out and get them started. I mean, I'm doing some volunteer work here in my neighborhood, for the PTA and stuff like that. But typically, I don't want to deal with people that that are broke. I mean, they can't.
Sure.
We have enough issues, getting paid as it is. So, but I mean, I certainly want to give people the tools to be able to understand the latest stuff and how to get a site set up, where they should go, so that they're not setting themselves up for disaster in the future. You have anything to add to that, Scott, or?
No, I completely agree. If you know who your customer is and you know what their needs are, and never overlook their wants either, because people will do oftentimes more to get what they want than to get what they need. But everybody has to start somewhere.
Right.
I can clearly say without any hesitation that I've been broke before.
Yeah, I think all of us, has definitely been there, but that doesn't mean that we want to deal with people that can't, obviously, everybody needs a chance. I don't want to discount that and everything, and you got to start somewhere.
Well, we live in a time where there's a lot of social assistance out there, and I'm not knocking that, and we're not talking politics.
Right.
But there's an old expression that Abraham Lincoln coined, this phrase, well, however long ago that was, 120 years ago, that the biggest thing we can do for the poor is to not be one of them ourselves. And I think the same thing applies to what you and I do. I can't help everybody that doesn't have any money, only because pretty soon I won't have any money, and then I won't be able to do what I do at all.
Right.
That's not to say that I don't have some way of helping them. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to point them to the right books to read.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes the best thing to do is just to say, there's a ton of stuff on my blog. Have you spent any time there?
Right.
Do you have any knowledge, Jeff, of who's on here? Like, do you have brand new people that are just getting into putting up their own website, or do you have any of that?
People that I know that are on the chat are definitely people that I know, and they're all I know most of everybody. Okay. Either they're on
so
they
they're
made
not
their own
newbies.
website. They're not new people, definitely not. I'm going to go ahead and move forward here, and I want to share another screen here. I'm going to go back to the browser and show you guys. Now, we talked a little bit about this website here, and so when the guy in Ed, you remember when we met him,
Sure.
talked to me about the site. So this is what I sent him. And I don't think I sent this to you, Scott, but this is what I sent him, and I'm sure you're familiar with this original layout. But I added all this stuff to it, and I sent it to him, and we have yet to hear back from him. So no big deal. Move on. I just thought I'd share that before we closed out here. All right, so I just want to kind of close things out here a little bit by thanking you guys for coming, being on this evening. I don't think we've got any more questions here right now. I'm going to go ahead and check that out.
Tigers are on, man. All your buddies.
Yeah, the Tigers are on.
They bailed on you to go watch the baseball game.
Okay, well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going to do. So, but we went over a bunch of topics this time, and I want to just point out that we are a little over what I wanted to do in time-wise. But the next time that I'm on here, I'm definitely going to be focusing on one thing, have a theme that's just one thing. I just wanted to do a thing now. Before I go, I want to talk a little bit about the launch content on my site. And if you guys, Ed and Scott, know anybody that I can interview for the website, as far as maybe they make their money off the internet, maybe they're not necessarily marketers, but they do make their money from the internet. I definitely want to do like an interview. So I'm going to have entrepreneur interviews on my website starting tomorrow. Again, this other guy, Jason, not Jason from Gaylord, but Jason from Florida Keys. And then I also have 2 other interviews that I'm going to be having, plus my 21st Century Business Card thing and some other things that I've been working on. So I'm going to be updating that. Again, jefftheguru.com, and I got that from a customer as well. Customers were calling me that, so that's how I came up with it. My friends kind of laugh at me about it. And I just want to close with, hey, come to the website, and I'm going to try to do one of these every couple of weeks at least, and so we can get some marketing ahead of time and everything. Ed, did you have anything to maybe say at the end here? Want to close out?
No, I just, you know what? Yeah, let me end with this. Google is your friend. So if you have a certain pain point, there are a ton of resources out there. We don't really have any newbies. I was gonna maybe plug someone, but I won't do it now. But if WordPress is in your future, there's all kinds of really great resources. And that holds true for just about everything. So if you want to tackle a certain social media network, there's all kinds of people that are giving away great content. Scott, what's your website again? Because you have good content on there, as I understand it.
ScottADennison.com.
Yeah. So people can go there and read your articles. You have a newsletter that they can sign up for, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah. So just spend a little time, research what your pain point is, and there's a ton of resources out there for you.
Yeah, I'll add to what you just said. Google is your friend up until the time you want traffic from them. Then they're not going to be your friend for very long, because they're your competitor. They want they're a publicly traded company, and they need all the revenue that they can get to keep their stockholders happy. So
okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, and hopefully we'll have some people here next time, or more people than we have this time. No big deal. And I want to thank all of my friends, all the people that have showed up to the website today. And again, if you please email me if you know some people that want to be panelists on my website, and for the next broadcast, which will be in a couple of weeks here, and it'll probably be from the D. I'll be up in Michigan later in the month, so hopefully for just a week though, because it's getting cold there. Anyway, that's okay. All right, so I will sign off and come to the website jefftheguru.com. Thanks a lot, Scott and Ed. Have a great evening.
See ya.
Talk to you later.
Bye.